We just got the reveal of Pokemon Legends ZA's starter Pokemon in the latest Pokemon Legends ZA trailer, and it is almost certain that they are going to be getting a brand new final evolution of some kind, whether that be in the form of a regional variant like we saw with the Legends Arceus starters, or possibly in the form of a Mega Evolution since Megas are coming back in this game. And in this video, I am going to show you what those final evolutions could look like. The most likely options for these starter evolutions are probably going to be either regional variants or mega evolutions, and personally, I feel like new megas make just a little bit more logical sense, but regional variants are still very possible and are something that I would personally love to see as well. So we are going to be covering both possibilities for each starter in this video, and we're also going to be covering a number of different ideas for each starter as well, just to kind of give a glimpse at multiple different possibilities for what we could potentially see. I'm going to start with the regional variants first, and then we will tackle the Mega Evolutions after that, and obviously we've got to begin with the Grass starter, so without further ado, here is an idea of what regional variant Meganium could possibly be like. This particular design is a grass fighting type, and the reason why I decided to go with the fighting type for Meganium is simply because, realistically speaking, there are only a few types that I can see as something that Meganium would get as a secondary type, either in the form of a regional variant or a Mega, and fighting is just one that I thought worked out the best, and also is because I obviously picked another type for its Mega Evolution, which we will get into in a second. So in terms of new types, I do believe that fighting is one of the strongest candidates that is out there, but it also kinda makes a little bit of poetic sense, if you will, as well, because Meganium has often been seen as a sucky Pokemon that doesn't do well in battle, and people kinda just like to haze it a lot for that reason. So giving it a type like fighting that quite literally gives it some extra muscle is something that I think we should get with a new form for Meganium to actually at least attempt to make it as viable and as strong and give it as much of a buff as we possibly can. And I feel like giving it that grass fighting typing is something that could do a solid job of that. We are now going to switch over and start talking about Emboar though, and in terms of what a regional variant Emboar could look like, this is one possibility that I could see happening. This regional variant is a Fire Dark type, and again, similar to Meganium, Dark is one of the types that I think is just most likely for Emboar in terms of it receiving some kind of new type in whatever new form it may get. It's fairly easy to round things down to a couple or a few types when trying to come up with a new secondary type like this for a Pokemon, because we obviously know a Pokemon like Emboar, it's not going to be a flying type, it's not going to be a bug type for instance, it's probably not going to be a dragon type or a normal type, so it's pretty easy to kind of narrow our options down to just a couple of different strong candidates. And I feel like the Dark type is one of those strong candidates that Emboar could legitimately have as a new type. And since Emboar is based around an Emperor, I decided to go with an evil Emperor sort of vibe for the design concept, which is why Emboar is looking a little more sinister, but I also think it looks pretty dang cool as well. So if we were to get something along these lines for Tepig's final evolution in ZA, it is something that I would totally be down for. We are now going to switch things over though and take a look at what a regional variant Feraligatr could look like. And this one is a bit more unique with regards to this video because a few years ago I actually already did a regional variant Feraligatr design, and it ended up turning out so good that I just decided to show it off again for this video, because personally I don't know that I am going to come up with something that could look any better than this. This is a water ghost type Feraligatr, and I feel like if something like this were to happen, that it would just be a next level kind of starter that would just catapult itself into the best of the best starter designs, whether you're talking the base forms, the megas, the regional variants. I feel like this one would be able to compete with anything in regards to the most popular and best starter designs that we have. Therefore, I felt like I would just go ahead and show this off again as a possibility, because once again, in terms of the types that Feraligatr could legitimately get, it is a monotype, so it's not like we're having to swap things out, and the opportunity to finally give Feraligatr a second typing after all these years, I feel like should factor into what type it gets, and therefore it shouldn't get something that is kinda just a little more tame or expected. It should get something that can have a little bit more of a wow factor to really take advantage of this opportunity, and Ghost is the kind of type that can definitely provide that wow factor, and in my opinion, definitely fits perfectly with Feraligatr's design, as we can see here. I'd also like to give a shout out really quick to my guy Trevenart, who drew the artwork of this particular design, as well as Rgreywind, who drew the artwork of all the other designs in this video, and you can check them out if you would like with the links in the description. And with that said, that is an idea of what the final starter evolutions for Legend ZA could look like if they decide to go down the regional variant route. And I feel like these are some pretty solid possibilities. As I mentioned, I think each typing is a more likely typing for the Pokemon to get in a regional variant or as just a secondary typing in general. And as a trio of secondary typings, I feel like Ghost, Dark, and Fighting is a pretty solid fit, so this is the kind of thing that I could legitimately see happening. However, these are not the only types and ideas for these Pokemon that I believe are likely, so let's go ahead and now look to the Mega Evolutions, because as I said at the beginning of the video, I personally feel like new Mega Evolutions are probably just a little bit more likely, because that is obviously a big focus in this game. So now we're going to take a look at what Mega Evolutions for Meganium, Emboar, and Feraligatr could look like. And starting with Meganium, we have got something that I feel like would be a great option for a Mega Evolution of this Pokemon. It is a Grass Fairy type, and that is one of the types that I just feel like fits the best with the Chikorita line. There's really only a few out there, like I said, that I could legitimately see being a real thing, and Fairy is probably the most likely of all of them, just because it works so well with Chikorita, Bayleaf, and Meganium's design and what they're already doing. And this is something that could actually be legitimately possible, not only because of the fit, but also because in the new trailer for Legend ZA, we see Chikorita knowing a Fairy type move that it wouldn't normally have prior to this game. And that has been a sign of what the starter Pokemon are going to evolve into in past games as well. So the Fairy typing is actually something that is not only a good fit, but it seems like it might even be a possibility in terms of in-game evidence. As we cover these megas as well, another possibility I did want to also say is that we could see these typings basically flip-flopped between the regional variants and the megas, meaning that another option for these evolutions is that maybe we get a regional variant of Meganium that is Fairy type instead, or we get a mega that is Fighting type. That is something to keep in mind as we go along throughout the rest of these megas as well, but if that were to happen, I do also feel like this could give you a solid idea of the kind of thing that we could see with the regional variant as well. This is all just about providing you with a glimpse and a visual representation of the kind of thing we could see, and if we did get something like this for Meganium, I think it would be awesome, honestly, and would definitely help to up Meganium's cool factor a little bit, which is something that it really needs. So whatever we end up getting, I really hope it delivers on that. Emboar is once again up next though, so let's go ahead and take a look at what a Mega Emboar could possibly look like. I feel like in terms of Mega Evolutions, it's a really natural sort of thing for this trio of starter Pokemon, because Emboar is the one Pokemon in this new starter trio that actually has a dual typing. So I feel like if we are to get Mega Evolutions, it makes the most sense for Emboar to retain its firefighting typing, which we've done in this design, while Meganium and Feraligatr naturally gain a new type so that they all have a dual type combination. It would be fun for Emboar to gain a new type upon Mega Evolving as well, and again, maybe the Dark type could actually be applied to the Mega Evolution instead of the regional variant, but personally, this is a scenario that I see as the most likely. It actually is in the minority when a Mega Evolution gets a new type. A lot of the times they just retain the type that they already have, so we've got to use a little bit of data, evidence, and like actual logic when coming up with these design predictions, because we don't want to go too far off the rails, because the whole idea is to look at what could actually happen. And so I just feel like this is the kind of thing that is probably the most likely, but honestly, I would be totally okay with that if it were to look something like this, because I think this is a great idea for a Mega Emboar design. I think it looks really cool, and I also feel like it could maybe help to make Emboar maybe a little bit more popular, because we are dealing with some more unpopular starter Pokemon with Tepig and Chikorita, and I would just love to see Game Freak acknowledge that and really go next level with whatever they give the final evolutions of these Pokemon. Feraligatr is up next once again though, so let's go ahead and switch things over to him once again, and if Feraligatr were to get a Mega in Legends ZA, this is the kind of thing that I could see happening, and I think it would be an amazing, amazing way to go. I just mentioned that a possibility for Feraligatr and Meganium is that they both gain new typings in their new forms to match up with Emboar, who is currently the lone starter final evolution of this trio who has a dual type combination. And so in giving Feraligatr a new type for this Mega Evolution, I went ahead and made it a Water Dragon type, which might seem kind of like a pipe dream fan fiction type of idea, but it's actually something that could legitimately happen, both in terms of logic and in terms of concept. As an alligator crocodile Pokemon, the dragon type obviously fits pretty naturally, and also in terms of the feasibility of that, it would not even be the first starter Pokemon to gain the Dragon type in a Mega Evolution, because this is something that we also saw with Mega Sceptile back in Oraz. So the precedent has already been set for that to be a possibility, and I feel like Feraligatr would be an excellent choice, not only because of the fit as far as the typing goes, but because, like I mentioned with the regional variant, this is a Pokemon that has been monotyped forever, and now that it finally has the chance to gain a new form and a potential new secondary type, it really deserves something that would just have some wow factor and really would just blow people's socks off. And the Dragon type is another one of those types that would obviously accomplish just that. I definitely feel like with both Feraligatr and Chikorita for this reason, they really should not play it safe in terms of the typing that they give these Pokemon. Yes, I know that fit is a thing, but I think they should really try and swing for the fences wherever they can in terms of the possibilities. And this Mega Feraligatr is the exact kind of thing that I think should happen, but I also feel like could happen, which is frankly all the more reason why I think it definitely should happen. That is just a possibility at the end of the day though, and we are just gonna have to wait and see what these final starter evolutions decide to do in terms of any potential new forms. You guys will have to let me know in the comments below what you think of these designs, and would you rather them have regional variants for the final evolutions or mega evolutions? Let me know all of that down in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and if you haven't already, subscribe for more Legends ZA content and just more Pokemon content in general. With that said, I'll be back with another new video very soon, so stay tuned for that. Thanks so much for watching this one, I really appreciate it, and until then, as always, I will smell you guys later.